Welcome to your first C# project, the Animal Matching Game. It's a cross-platform game in C# and .NET MAUI. I'm Andrew Stellman, author of Head for C#. Let's get started by creating a new project in Visual Studio. Create a new .NET MAUI app project. Name your project Animal Matching Game, and accept all the defaults. Visual Studio will create the project for you. You can get a full PDF of this project. Download the first 4 chapters of Head for C# from our GitHub page. Visual Studio has created the project, and now you can run the app you just created. Click the Run button in the toolbar, or choose Start Debugging from the Debug menu, or press F5. When the app pops up, use it. This is going to be the starting point for creating your game. We use .NET 8. If you're using a different version, your app might look a little different. Now close your app. You can stop it by closing the window, or choosing Stop Debugging, or pressing Shift F5. Now here's the page that we're going to build. You're going to be using XAML to lay out your page. Start by editing your XAML code. Double-click on mainpage.xaml in the Solution Explorer to open it. You add the XAML for a button and a label first. Start by deleting everything inside the vertical stack layout tags. Look for the top tag, then select everything, and then delete everything until the bottom tag. Your code should look like this. We used the C# and XAML code generated for .NET 8. If you're using a different version of .NET, make sure your XAML and C# code matches ours. Now open mainpage.xaml.cs, and you're going to delete all the C# code except for the one method in the middle that says public main page. Delete the code on line 5 and everything from 11 to 21. Now go back to mainpage.xaml and use the toolbox to add the Play Again button. You can use the View menu to view the toolbox. Add a few extra blank lines around the new button tag. And then you're going to add properties to the XAML tag for the button using the Properties window. Make sure its cursor is still inside the button tag. Find the text property in the Properties window and set it to Play Again ? Then find the font size property and set it to large. You should see the properties update in the code. Now edit the tag by hand and add an x:\name property. That'll give it a name that you can use in your C# code. Now you're going to make your button do something. Put your cursor just before the end of the button tag and start typing clicked. Select New Event Handler, and Visual Studio will create a Play Again button clicked method for you. Go back to the C# code file and look at the code that was added. You'll see the new event handler code the Visual Studio just made. Back to mainpage.xaml. Drag a label control, drag it out of the toolbox underneath the button. And then go back to the Properties window and add text to the button and set the font size to large. Give the label control a name. Use the editor to set the xName property just like you did before. And now run your app again. Your app should have the button and label you just created. And remember, all of the instructions you're looking at you can find in the full PDF of this project. Now use a FlexLayout to make a grid of buttons. Drag a FlexLayout just under the label control. FlexLayout contains other controls. So you're going to add a space between the opening and closing FlexLayout tags. And then you're going to set its properties. Use the Properties window to set the wrap property. We're going pretty fast in this video, but you can see full instructions, everything step by step, in the PDF of the project. And you'll have all the code for the project on our GitHub page as well. Drag another button out of the toolbox. Put it inside the FlexLayout you just added, just between the opening and closing tags. Go ahead and delete the text property from that tag you just entered, and then use the toolbox to set its height request, width request, and font size properties. Go ahead and set the height request property to 100, the width request property to 100, and the font size property to 60. That'll make the button look like a square. Set its border and color properties. Use the editor to set the background color to light blue. It'll pop up a nice drop-down for you. Then set the border color to black and the border width to 1. Now you'll add a clicked event handler, just like you did with the previous button. Select New Event Handler, but this time don't go back to the C# code. trust that it created the handler for you. Instead, you're going to copy the button you just created and then paste it 15 times to make 16 identical buttons. The code for this page will get pretty long, but most of it's just the copied and pasted button that you have. Now finally, give the FlexLayout a maximum width. Setting its maximum width request to 400 makes the buttons into a 4x4 grid because each button has a width of 100. Now go ahead and run your app again. This time, you should see it pop up a page that has a 4x4 grid of buttons. Each of the buttons is empty right now. We'll take care of that in a second. Close your window to stop the app. Switch back to your C# code and start editing that event handler method you added. Add a C# statement to make the grid of buttons visible, and then add another statement to make the Play Again button invisible. Switch back to your XAML code and modify the XAML to hide the Play Again button when the app starts. Add an isVisible property to the button. And now run your app and test the button. Clicking the Play Again button starts the game by showing the grid of buttons. Close the app. Now you're going to write code to add animals to your buttons. Start by creating a list of animal emoji. Add a statement to create a new list. Start entering the statement list bracket string close bracket and equals and then 2 square brackets. Add a semicolon at the end and then 2 quotes. And now start adding emoji. If you press the Windows key and period, you can bring up the emoji panel. Enter 2 octopus emojis, or any other pairs of emojis that you want to add. Add a second pair of animals. We added a blowfish. You can choose any pairs of emojis you want, as long as you have 8 different pairs. Make sure there are a total of 8 pairs of emojis, otherwise the game won't work. We sped up this video, so you can see it go quickly. And now finish the method. This button has a for each loop that runs through the list of animal emojis you just created, pulls out random ones, and adds them to buttons' labels. That creates a grid of random emoji buttons. And now finish the method. Run your app and click the Play Again button, and it'll display a grid of random animal buttons. Run the app again, and you'll see a different set of buttons. If you want, you can disable the little toolbar at the top of the window, click the first icon in the toolbar, then click the first icon in the live visual tree window that pops up. Now you're going to add the C# code to handle all the mouse clicks. The PDF has a full listing of the code, and it actually has an exercise to help you understand it. It's a little bit complicated, and that's why we have that exercise in there. Finally, finish the method. You can find the completed code for this method in our free PDF. This is the first project in the book, and there's a lot of stuff going on here, and we don't expect you to know how it all works by the end of the chapter, but we do have a paper and pencil exercise to help you understand the code. And by the end of the book, you will understand absolutely everything that's going on. While you're watching it, see if you can spot a few things. There's part of the code that keeps track of the number of pairs of animals the player found, so the game can end when they find all 8 pairs. There's also some lines that are run when the player clicks the first button of the potential match to change its color to red and keep track of it. And finally, there's another block of code that's run when the player clicks on the second button in the pair to see if the animals match. And if they do, it blanks out the animals on both buttons. Otherwise, it goes back and resets everything. Run your app and find all the pairs. Click on one animal, and then click the match so they both disappear. Try playing through the game a few times. Click pairs of animals, you'll see them disappear. Basic gameplay works. But uh-oh, there's a bug in your code. Don't worry, it's not your fault. Click one blank button and then another one. Now, repeat that 7 more times. Click one blank button and then the other one. Do it 8 times and the game thinks you won. That's not how it's supposed to work. Luckily, we can change one line of code to fix the bug, and you can learn all about what went wrong and how to fix it in the PDF. A big part of development is sleuthing out bugs, and we teach you all about how to do that. Run the app again, and the bug is fixed. Clicking pairs of blank buttons no longer ends the game. Finally, we're ready to finish the game by adding a timer. The timer starts as soon as the player clicks the Play Again button. Start by adding a timer to your game's C# code. You'll add a line of code to the Play Again button event handler. That starts the timer, so it'll start as soon as the button is clicked. Use Visual Studio to generate code for you. You can click the quick action icon, choose the option to generate a method, and it'll generate the timer tick method for you. And now you'll finish the code for your game. You'll add a field called tenths of seconds elapsed above the timer tick method, and then you can finish the code for your game. Finish the timer tick method that's called by the timer every tenth of a second. The first thing it'll do is it'll update its label, so it shows the time elapsed. Then it will check if the Play Again button is visible. And if it's not, it means the game's been reset. And then it'll stop the timer. And now finally run your app. The timer will start when you click the Play Again button, and it'll keep going while the game is playing. And your game's done. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos, and check our GitHub page for more free downloads.